Gaming communities are something that are becoming increasingly talked about these days, as more and more people are calling themselves quote unquote gamers. As well as the fact that more and more gaming companies are trying to create games that are based around players and the communities within it to help drive promotion and longevity for the game. More games are coming out with the as a service model, where they're constantly adding DLC and new content on a regular basis, either paid or free, to try and extend the lifespan of their title, increasing the chance for new people to pick up their games, or for the constant old school players to perhaps spend money in other forms in the game. So with more and large gaming communities establishing themselves around new and old titles these days, I thought it might be an interesting time to take a look at a few examples of these modern day gaming communities and see if we can work out what it is about these games or the developers or the people that play them that makes the community a good community. There's so many different games that I could use to talk about and compare in this video. However, I don't want this video to go forever, and I want to be able to talk about some games and communities that are both close to my heart and that I have been a part of for some time. So the games and communities that I'm going to be discussing in this video are the Destiny and Destiny 2 community, just as one entity, the Titanfall 2 and Warframe. I've been pretty heavily involved with both the Destiny and Titanfall communities for the entire lifespan of each game really, so I feel as though I have a pretty good gauge on them. With Warframe, however, I'll admit that I'm a little bit more new to this game and its community, so I'll be drawing on my personal experiences, but also the experiences and stories or feedback that I've seen and heard from the rest of the people that have been a part of this community for a longer period of time. I have a personal theory that there's really only one main factor that makes a gaming community what it is, and I believe that factor is the developer. So let me start this point with a metaphor I came up with to describe the relationship between a developer and their game community. Imagine a puppy, a brand new puppy that's only a few weeks old and taken to a new home. This puppy has the typical dog's life over the next year or so, just playing with its owners constantly, being well fed, cuddled and patted on a regular basis, taken for daily walks, and gets to interact with other puppies too. By the time this dog is a few years old and fully grown, the behaviour of this dog is going to be pretty good, you would imagine. He doesn't bark or bite people that come to visit the house. He's allowed to sleep inside, and he's always excited to see his owner when he walks in the door at the end of the day. This is a happy dog, and a happy relationship between dog and owner. Now let's imagine scenario B with this pup. What if he's taken to the new home and tormented by the owner, who always forgets to feed him, never takes him for walks, and makes him sleep in the backyard with no shelter? He never gets to socialise with other dogs as a pup, and cowers whenever their owner is around for fear of getting yelled at or even hit. This doggo is likely to be hostile towards other dogs and people when it comes across them, and will be living in fear and anxiety about where its next meal comes from or whether it's going to get beaten that day. I know it's grim and extreme, so I'll stop with the dog metaphor, but the point I'm trying to make for those who haven't already realised is that the way that the developer or the owner treats the people within its gaming community, the puppy, will heavily influence the way that the community feels towards both the developer and in turn the game that the developer has made. So let's go to our examples of games and developers to see where they fit into this. So let's start with Titanfall 2, which I would say is, just off the top of my head, roughly a 80% positive community. Not a huge one, but I would rate it as a good one. And now let's look at the way that the developer treats its community. Free DLC and content almost every month for an entire year so far, constant feedback and communication about why certain things are the way they are, and also making changes to the game in a fast manner based off the feedback they get from their community. It makes sense that the people that play this game and advocate for it are happy and love their developer and game. The same can be said for Warframe, a community that would be a larger one than Titanfall's, and I would also say a more positive community. Their game's free to play, has been given free content and updates since 2013, including the recent Plains of Eidolon update, which saw a massive change to the way that the game is played by everyone, including long-time and hardcore players. Digital Extremes are constantly using their community as a basis to what should be changed about their game, and everyone who plays it loves it and loves to share what they can with new people who come to the game. I personally have never seen a gaming community so willing to help and share their passion for their game as the Warframe community. Lastly, let's look at Destiny, a community that I've been a part of since day one of Destiny 1, and over the last 3 years I've seen what I would say is still a great community, slowly decline and become more cynical and wary of what they can expect from their game, which is sad. So why would I say that the Destiny community is not as positive overall and in love with their game as, say, the Titanfall 2 and Warframe communities? Well, you probably know I'm going to say it's because the way that they've been treated by their developer, or if you want to go back to the dog metaphor, their owner. As a direct comparison, Bungie have their DLC and expansions behind a paywall and are only released a couple of times a year. Aside from this, the game only sees a couple of other updates through its yearly cycle as far as weapon balancing and bug fixes goes. And prior to these updates, there isn't really much dialogue from Bungie's end regarding the state of the game and what their decision making is. And I think this is the bit that hurts the most. No or little communication is the worst thing for a developer to do, especially if they're wanting to have a long life cycle for their game. It's the players and the content creators that will ultimately keep a game alive, and for the games whose developer doesn't realize that or respect that, their communities are slowly going to become more and more cynical and toxic and lash out more, just like the dog who was treated poorly as a puppy. Now, this wasn't a video to rip on Bungie or the Destiny community. I'm a massive Destiny fan and I still think that the Destiny community is a great one, especially for its size. But when you look at it on social media and YouTube and the way that people are talking about Destiny and Bungie, etc., you can see that people just aren't as in love as they once were, or as in love as people who play Titanfall 2 or Warframe might be. And I know that correlation doesn't mean causation, but it can sometimes, and it's as good a theory as any as to why a gaming community will behave the way that they do. Guys, that's all I have to say for today. Let me know down in the comments what your thoughts are on the matter. Go ahead and leave a thumbs up if you like my theory or you agree. Be sure to subscribe for more content like this, and until next time, just keep doing what you're doing, guys. Cheers.